Well, welcome to an emergency Canes Corner podcast, not a game night. I am Adam Gold. We're brought to you by the Aluminum Company of North Carolina, whether the Hurricanes are playing or not. If it's for the exterior of your home, you can find it at the Aluminum Company of North Carolina on Hamlin Road in Durham. Sammy Hanna's crew do a great job. Although they can't trade for Mikko Rantanen, Taylor Hall also, but this is really about Mikko Rantanen, people. Martin Necas and Jack Drury going the other way. We'll be very quick here. We're not going to spend a ton of time because we really don't have a lot of details yet. And this is one of those things that is at times maybe a little bit, especially on the fly, difficult to process. But this represents a major swing. I mean, it's January 24th. We're not close to the trade deadline. 2 months from the trade deadline almost. And, 2 months. Month and 6 weeks maybe. And this is a major deal. So let's just give you the particulars first, and we'll try to answer. I know there's a ton of questions. We'll try to answer the questions that I know are out there. So Carolina is sending Martin Necas, Jack Drury, as far as I can tell, this all comes from Elliot Friedman, by the way. So shouts to the Friedge. Necas, Drury, a second-round pick this year, and a sixth-round pick next year to Colorado. Colorado is actually filtering, Rantanen, I guess through Chicago, because the Blackhawks are laundering the contract of Rantanen, paying half of it, which is the max you can do, and sending Taylor Hall also to Carolina in exchange for a third-round pick that actually belonged to what is Chicago's pick from that Carolina acquired at this past draft. So Chicago gets their third-round pick back. Carolina had 2 third-rounders. That one, Chicago's goes back to them. So the Hurricanes keep their first-round pick, lose their second, but now have 4 months plus to convince Mikko Rantanen to be a forever Hurricane, or for the rest of his career Hurricane. He is 28 years old. He just turned 28. I think at the very end of December, turned 28. So we'll get to the other trades that people were hoping for and whatnot. But let's just deal with the incoming, and then we'll talk about the outgoing. So for those people who thought Jesperi Kotkaniemi was part of the trade because it was the original report, I think Frank Saravalli had it from Daily Faceoff, Kotkaniemi stays. So Hurricanes add a Finn. Always good to add a Finn. We need more Finns for my money. So Rantanen, who plays the right wing or had played the right wing for Colorado, can also take faceoffs. He's actually become a pretty good faceoff guy, but he doesn't really play center. I mean, I guess anybody could play center. All these guys played center at one point or another. Martin Necas was a center at one point. More than likely, my understanding is that Tyson Jost, who's coming back from injury, he will eventually assume the role of fourth line center on this team, which is a little bit more traditional than what Carolina was looking at in terms of if you because, well, I mean, Jack Drury's kind of a fourth line center anyway. Maybe he could be a third. He's not a 2. We've known that. And Jesperi Kotkaniemi at times plays like a 2 and at times plays like a 4. The last week or so, it's been more of a 2. Although, I mean, I think he settles in as a 3, but we're not going to have that conversation just now. So let's deal with Mikko Rantanen. Here's what you get from Rantanen. 6'4", 215 pounds. He's certainly not a bruiser, but he is not shy. He's not a fighter, but you're not looking for a fighter. You're looking for a big body who can do work around the net, and Rantanen is clearly capable of doing that. Back-to-back 100-point seasons, and he is, over the last 8 years, 1.2 points per game. over the last 8 years, 1.2 points per game. You are getting a bona fide elite offensive piece. Again, he can take faceoffs. I think Carolina's got plenty of left-handed faceoff guys. And also, if we're looking for somebody to play the middle, Jack Roslovic, center by trade, he could also play the middle. So, but I think it'll be Tyson Jost. Anyway, and by the way I look at this, if the Hurricanes were willing to make this move today, then there could be other moves coming. I think we have to assume that the Hurricanes are looking at altering their roster going forward. All right, now, Taylor Hall comes in. His best days are beyond him, right? We have to just this is the way when I look at the Taylor Hall deal, and I'm going to go back to Rantanen here, but the Taylor Hall deal reminds me a little bit of Yevgeny Kuznetsov and that acquisition. It's really kind of a shot in the dark. Chicago clearly was just trying to get rid of him. Think about this. Chicago is paying half of Rantanen's salary, and they gave us Taylor Hall, all for a third-round pick. Sounds to me like they really just wanted to get rid of Taylor Hall, which is whatever it is. That's fine. I think it's certainly worth a shot to add Hall. Hey, if it doesn't work out, Taylor Hall doesn't have to play. Hurricanes have multiple forwards here. Remember, Juha Jaska looks like an NHL player to me. So he could play on a fourth line. You can have a fourth line of Jaska, Jost, and Roslovic. And there you go. So Taylor Hall doesn't even have to be part of this mix. But let's, again, we'll deal with that. The Hall thing to me seems like just an extra piece. It's the incentive for Chicago to take half of Rantanen's salary. Like, yeah, we're taking this, but you got to take that. So let's leave Taylor Hall out of it. Because if you just look at the Rantanen part of this deal, would you trade Martin Necas and Jack Drury for Mikko Rantanen, knowing that you're also, again, this is according to Elliot Friedman, not throwing in a first-round pick? Yes, you would do that. Even if you don't have Rantanen signed beyond this year. He is an unrestricted free agent. So Carolina is going to have boatloads of money under the cap. Boatloads. Dmitry Orlov's contract is off. Brent Burns' contract is off. Necas' 6.5 is also gone. You had that for another year. And Drury makes like 1.75. That was also for another year. Either way, they have plenty of money to make sure Mikko Rantanen feels like he is paid accordingly. And that number is probably going to start, I would think, 12 something, right? And the Hurricanes will be more than comfortable. The cap's going up too. Be more than comfortable to fit that into the parameters of the salary cap. So you add a bona fide triple-digit score. Now, even if it's just a point a game, which would be a drop-off for what he's done. I mean, you make the move. I mean, over and over and over and over and over again. The old adage in all of sports is whoever gets the best player in the deal wins the deal. I love Marty. I love Necas. I like Jack. Mikko Rantanen is a significant upgrade over Necas. And as much as I love Drury, I mean, he's a fourth-line center. And fourth-line centers are, I mean, I'm not saying they're a dime a dozen. I think Jack does a lot of good things. He was Carolina's best faceoff guy. He kills penalties. I mean, I'm not going to throw in he plays on the second power play unit because the second power play unit ain't great. But, I mean, he can do a lot of different things. So it's not an insignificant loss. But all of what Drury brings and all of what Necas brings isn't equal to what Rantanen brings. So if you just think about it this way, would you take Tyson Jost and Mikko Rantanen? Look at that. Jost also played in Colorado. Jost and Rantanen for Necas and Drury? Yeah, of course you would. So easily done. And now they have to convince Rantanen to stay. I know a lot of you are worried about, well, Jake Ensel left. You're right. Jake Ensel did leave. And that stung. I think they wanted to keep Jake Ensel. And they got Gensel very close to the deadline. Played the last, 18 or so games and the playoffs with Carolina and was super productive and fit in and all of that. And he's not Mikko Rantanen. Rantanen's the better player. Rantanen is also big. And by the way, if Taylor Hall does work, here's another guy, 6'1", 210 pounds, who can be a little bit more physical and get inside, even though he has become more of a playmaker as opposed to a scorer. Maybe he was always more playmaker than scorer anyway. But again, I think that the Hall part of this is nothing more than a roll of the dice, and a good one. It's better than not doing it. And again, it helped you get Rantanen. And I don't know how the math works out because Carolina is still taking in more money that's going out. Unless there's another piece to this deal that we don't know about, and I'll try to see if we do know, but I'm not 100% sure that we have all of that. But I'll do a quick search here and see if we have any more details on the trade. So Friedman still has Rantanen and Hall coming to Carolina, Necas, Drury to Colorado. Chicago gets a third-round pick. And actually, I'm trying to think. I saw it somewhere where the Hurricanes were getting not giving up a first-round pick. I'm blown away that you're not giving up a first-round pick here. But think about the trade that Carolina was thinking about making. Or that was rumored, because I don't think Carolina was seriously considering JT Miller. My understanding now, having done some digging about Miller, was that they really were concerned about the age. 5 years left on a deal. He's about to turn 32. Also, think about JT Miller took a leave of absence this year. Want to find out why. Right, that would be the first thing, and maybe the Hurricanes did find out, and now the age plays into it. But I also think Vancouver was asking for more than Carolina wanted to give up. Maybe more than Carolina gave up here, and maybe that makes sense since there were years left on Miller's contract. Rantanen as an unrestricted free agent might have been a difficult sign for Colorado. Remember, they've already got McKinnon and Makar on big deals. And I mean, with the cap going up, you probably could fit a third. But and I know the Hurricanes have Aho on a big deal, and you've got Svechnikov and Jarvis both over 7. Slavin is under 7, but still, you are, those things do add up. And Rantanen is going to be worth. I mean, it's going to be an 8-figure deal. But Rantanen at 28, remember, he just turned 28. So even if you go 8 years for Mikko Rantanen, it's 36 at the end of the deal. And while the team considers the age at the end of the contract, I would only consider the first half of it. So this year and then the next 4 years, does that put you in position to win a cup? The truth of the matter is that Mikko Rantanen puts you in position to win the cup maybe now because of his scoring ability. Carolina's been looking for that guy for a long time. They haven't had that guy since Eric Staal. Now, they hoped that guy would be Andrei Svechnikov, but he's not that guy. He might be more Eric Cole. We need him to play like Eric Cole, but it might be more like Eric Cole than that. But Rantanen is a bona fide, high-scoring power forward. There really is no downside to this deal from a Carolina perspective. None at all, unless they don't re-sign him. In which case, I know it's going to sound weird, but because it would be an asset. If they feel like they can't re-sign him, they'll trade his rights to a place, just like they did with Jake Gensel. But I think the reason you do it now is it gives you more time to get him ingrained in your culture. And it will be up to Aho. And I was going to say Kotkaniemi, but this is not about Jesperi Kotkaniemi. It's about Sebastian Aho getting to Mikko Rantanen and getting in his ear and explaining to him why this is the place to be. So I thought what I would do here, and I just want to say this about Necas and Drury. Drury is a solid player. He's going to play in the league for a long time. He's a fourth liner. I mean, we know that. That's ultimately what he is. I know he played higher in Carolina's lineup often, but that was less about him than it was about getting consistency out of Kotkaniemi. And I am not here to tell you that Jesperi Kotkaniemi has turned a corner. But here's what we do know, is that when Kotkaniemi does produce, does play the way the head coach wants him to play, it looks a lot like what we've seen the last few games. Now, I still don't think that's consistent second center. He really profiles more as a third, but the last couple of games have been good. I thought he was I didn't think he was great yesterday, but he made impactful plays. And sometimes that's all you need to do. Like, honestly, I thought the game last night was more about Robinson and Necas on that line than necessarily it was Kotkaniemi, but that's all right. He still had good moments in the game. And we certainly, I mean, the goals are great, but it's really about how you go about playing. And I thought he and Robinson were really good and heavy. Not so much last night, to be honest, but the last few games before then. So that's what the head coach needs to see. Keep saying it. If 82 can just play, be simple. Don't try to do too much. Use your body, 6'3", 215, or whatever he is, 205. I don't know. He's a big kid. And he doesn't have to just go around, flying around hitting everybody. He just has to play a heavier game. And when he does that, he can be effective. And he's fine in the faceoff circle. So Kotkaniemi right now would be their number 2 center or number 3 center, because the way Jordan Staal is playing, he's frankly the number 1 center. And Aho would be the 2 center. And then Kotkaniemi is 3. And I think you'll see Tyson Jost 4. And that's the way I think it's going to work out. Now, for Carolina, it's what's the makeup of your top line? Is that top line Svechnikov, Aho, and Rantanen? Certainly looks like a good line. Rantanen, who is a left shot, plays the right side. Svechnikov, you'd have 3 lefties, but Rantanen likes to play on the right, which, honestly, you should play your offside. It does displace Jackson Blake, and I'm not exactly sure where he goes. If they try to make something work with Taylor Hall, then maybe Jackson Blake drops to the 4th line with Jost and Roslovic. But you could also have Blake play with Kotkaniemi and Robinson. And basically what you're doing is Jackson Blake, you're going in for Martin Necas. I frankly would rather see that. I think Jackson Blake has played like he belongs in your top 6. Like, of late, Jackson Blake has played that way. So we'll see where they ultimately deploy Taylor Hall in this whole mix. But man, I don't see a downside in this. And I think it's only a slight downside if they can't sign Rantanen, but you're going to make every effort to do so. And again, it gives Carolina, more size. Necas is 6'3", also, probably 195, 200. Obviously not a physical player. And Mikko Rantanen is not a guy throwing his body around all over the place. But he's a bona fide 100-point scorer. Necas was for 6 weeks. And look, I love Marty, and I think Marty will be fine in Colorado. And who knows if they don't move him on in the offseason. He's got another year left at 6.5, so you could certainly move it if you had to. But I think ultimately this trade says that Carolina understands that they needed a couple of things to get better. And again, the Hall thing is, I think, just a roll of the dice, see where it goes. But to me, it also says that they might not be done. And if I was asking for anything else, and, I'm not asking for a number one goalie, the time to add a number one goalie, if they don't already have one, let's just pump the brakes on completely disparaging Pyotr Kochetkov, but the time to add that would be in the offseason. I do think getting an NHL goalie in a deal that can be your emergency goalie, no disrespect to Spencer Martin and or Dustin Tokarski, but I think both are minor league goalies. They need an NHL goalie in reserve. I wouldn't mind adding that. But I think more importantly is at least one, maybe two NHL defensemen who can be your extras when you get to the postseason. In general, you want to have 8. You want to have 8 guys you can use. And right now, the Hurricanes have 6. And Shane Gostisbehere, had an injury, and you hope to not have another one. But if you have another one, man, is Riley Stillman or Ty Smith the answer as your 6th defenseman? No. So I would be looking for another piece that they could use on the blue line. But, of course, I don't know how they're going to afford it now because they're pretty much tapped out in terms of cap space. But they have also been super creative when it comes to cap room. In fact, it was explained to me this way. They've made so many transactions that they can't even, they know what they have, but there's no way anybody else can follow it. It is crazy how many transactions they have made. There are salary cap gymnastics going on right now that nobody fully understands. So let's see if we get another update. All right, here's the full deal from Frank Saravalli. Rantanen and Taylor Hall to Carolina. Necas, Drury, 2025 second-round pick, 2026 fourth-round pick, not a sixth-round pick, fourth-round pick from Carolina. And the Blackhawks get their own third-round pick back, and they retain half of Rantanen's salary. Yeah. Let's give Tulsky and Dundon an A+ for this, right? Should we mess around? No, we don't need to do that. Now, Necas is a great guy, man. I'm going to miss him. I'm going to miss Jack Drury, but the Hurricanes just got better. And Hurricanes fans, look, I know everybody wants to be perfect here, but boy, it's a great way to start a weekend, isn't it? All right. I think that was pretty good. I am Adam Gold. This has been the Canes Corner Podcast, emergency Mikko Rantanen edition. I don't know what number he's going to wear. He's a 96 too, right? You got Jack Roslovic's got 96 now. So what number is Rantanen going to take? How about 9.6? Just put a little dot. Never mind. Brought to you by the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. If it's for the exterior of your home, you can find it at the Aluminum Company of North Carolina on Hamlin Road in Durham. No place like it. Sammy Hanna and his crew do a great job. You should check them out, even if you're moving to Denver, Colorado. Svechnikov, Aho, and Rantanen. I don't hate it. See you after the Canes and the Islanders. We'll see if Rantanen can score in his Hurricanes debut.